I don't want to waste much time. So, obviously, the topic of this presentation is very common because the moment we hear the word mutual fund, it's my word, something which is close to which I do day in and day out. But I had, in fact, when I was given this responsibility to moderate this session, I did a survey with around 1,000 of my distributors because I run a community of around 10,000 distributors. So I ran a campaign. These are the people who are coming. So what should be the right questions that needs to be asked? So I had created some questions which is basically sourced from people like you only. It's not something that get cooked up. So I had made a sequence of these questions, but I'll make slightly change. In fact, my first question was supposed to be Mohammed, but now it will go to Rohit. So, we had a presentation in the morning, the director of NISM came, and he gave us a data that 9% of only India is, financially inclusion, which means. So my question to you, Rohit, is, why is that? Why we have 20 crores people seeing OTT, people are interested in crypto, but when it comes to mutual fund, we are so excited, mutual fund saying, no, sabse zabardast hai. But why is only 9%? Why not? And we are celebrating. So where is going wrong?
So my two bits about it is probably there are two main causes, reasons probably, first, I think there is an aspirational deficit. India is a very, very young country. Majority, we all know the data that we have a population between the age group of 20 to 40. We have the largest population on the globe. These guys are aspirational. They want things quickly and they believe in themselves. And the aspirations are above their pay grade, so to say. So they felt post-COVID, what happened? Obviously, digitalization also helped immensely. We had the advent, although Zerodha was there earlier also, but then suddenly there was this surge of people. They had time, we had data packs available at cheap prices. They had lots of time and they wanted to do something with it. So what happened is that they started going towards the gamification. They started going towards the FNO. So what happened without taking that entire journey of understanding the fundamentals, going into the markets and then coming to FNO, the first step itself was FNO. And there was a report by Ashish Gupta, I don't know, some of you would have read that, who's our CIO 2 years back, that how FNO has taken a shape of a gamification. And after that, the government SEBI came up with those reports. And I think that's where the difference is, that obviously aspirational youth want to get things quicker. And so to say, mutual fund is more, traditional way of investing, slow, steady wins the race. And these are the guys who are aspirational, want to take higher risk, and they believe that it can, make them to reach their goals faster, which probably is not the case. We all know that. Thankfully, I think government is taking the right steps. We've seen what steps have been taken on the gaming portals. We've seen how tougher they're making for the retail or this youth to not go towards FNO unless until they are serious about it, they understand what the risks are associated. So that is one reason, that it is more of a gamification, quick rewards. They feel that instant gratification will happen. And the second thing I think which as an industry we have to take care is the trust deficit of it. Many times I've been in this industry for the last 23-24 years. Many new investors coming to the market when it's the euphoria time, without too much of ado, herd mentality. We as advisors also sometimes go with the flow. Okay, even if the risk parameter of a client is not suitable for a small cap, we still push small cap because that's giving returns. The past history that has given more returns. And generally, what I've seen during all these, what Rajesh also spoke about, all these every 8 years, we see that downtrend coming. The maximum number of people who come to the markets is at the peak. And unfortunately, the retail comes there because euphoria is what generated and it's the peak of the market. Suddenly, this crash happens and they're not ready for these shockers. I think that trust deficit we'll have to take care. I think we have to do lots of education, lots of training, whatever we can do as industry, entire industry put together. That the first experience is good. That we give the right product, right asset class to the guy who's come to the market for the first time, so that the trust gets created. And What we all have been doing is that we're putting lots of emphasis that, like Infosys has gone up by so many times. Maybe as market commentators, we never talk about the time that it took 30 years. It is not that within, obviously it became 4,000 times, but it took 30 years. Do we put lots of emphasis on the time in the market rather than how much returns are getting there? I think these few things which as an industry, I think government is doing a great job to ensure that the quick gratification side of it is taken away and making clients aware that there are lots of risks associated with it. At the same time, as industry, I think all of us have to build that trust that slow, steady will win the race. Obviously, you have bigger money, you have this appetite, you go there. But then over a long period of time, if you want to create wealth, you have to be on products which are more stable. And if you want dopamine, obviously go there.
Brilliant. In fact, today morning also, when the director of NISM was here, he actually explained that financial literacy is not financial intuitions. So you might be certified, you might be financially literate. So now I'll come to Mahmood. In fact, so when is the next 1 crore investors? How soon? How fast? Or when do you think the next set of investors will come? And who are these people?
Firstly, thank you for the for having me here. I think it will happen sooner than we expect. Could be 12 months or 18 months time, we'll have 1 crore investors added. Where do they come from? I think there is a degree now. From being a push product when I started trading in mid-90s, mutual funds have become a pull product, and plus they have also become a product for Bharat to invest in capital market. If I have to pick two segments which offers a lot of potential and promise, basis the gender, I think women as a segment will participate a lot more than what they have done in the past. And the reason for my optimism is the financial literacy among the women is growing. And also there is a change in their mindset to say that, okay, my wealth is different from a family wealth. I also need to have something what I call myself. So I have a lot of females members in my own family. Now they have started talking, hey, I need to have a house of my own. It's not good enough to own a house with a father or a brother or a spouse. So I think that's one very, very big segment, and I see a lot of potential there. The second segment, I say, if I have to create a cohort, this is the employment. It would be a gig workers. What has changed there is a society taking up those part-time jobs is no longer a taboo. Many of the Gen Zs are now saying that, okay, it's okay if I'm not going to office or working 9 to 6, I can do what I want to do. And there is a formalization of payments that is happening. Earlier, for all the big workers, payments are probably made in cash, formal, but now it's coming through a formal way, whether you pay through bank transfer or you pay through UPI, but it's coming into a banking system. Once the money comes into financial system, it's easier to educate such a set of people and engage with them and convert those people into investors. So these are the two segments I think.
In fact, I think one of the basic opportunity that I see, because I have a very 3 active women in my family also. My wife, my daughter, and my mother. Somewhere they feel isolated when it comes to financial decisions. This is my observation. Although they are very literate, they are educated somewhere. So Gaurav was my boss for a long time. So he used to give me targets and everything. So today I got a chance to give him targets.
Rohit has got a chance.
The moment I saw him in the morning, I told him, आपने 3 साल तंग किया. So today I will give you a target, Gaurav. So are we prepared? My question to you would be 100 lakh crore by 2030. Is it possible? How? When? Who? What is your take?
Okay. First of all, thank you, Rohit, and thank you, TFM, for having me here.
And definitely, yes, I was aware that when Rohit was moderating it, that I'm going to have a very, very tough time. So, but I think first, big round of applause to each one of you because really you decided to invest your time today in this knowledge, in terms of sharing your knowledge. And I think that's the best thing in this industry. So, big round of applause to all of you. So, I just come to your question, and I'm just very, I want to just take what Rohit said. The question which you asked, Rohit, about in terms of why the mutual fund investors, the financial inclusion is very good. And I think somewhere we all of us have to blame ourselves as an industry for where we are right now because we are very in terms of the penetration when you look at very, very low in terms of financial inclusion, mutual fund, less than 6 crores of PAN. In terms of our penetration is very, very low. And I think just look at in terms of what we are doing. Which are the products which are closer to the investor and what we are selling? Can you tell me highest number of folios are in which category of mutual funds? Can anybody? So it's thematic funds. And small and mid caps are up. Correct? So the point which I am trying to make is that when you look at why mutual fund number of investors are not increasing to that extent that potential is there, why we have low penetration, because we have the highest number of folios in sector and thematic funds, which are extremely volatile, and we know the kind of journey which investors need to have that kind of time horizon. And when you look at one of the most simplistic, and I would say the most powerful product which we have, which is actually outperform any banking, whether it is in terms of savings where we have the largest amount of money, liquid funds, we have just about 21 lakhs folios. So out of 25 crores of folios, we have just 1% in one of the most simplistic and powerful product, which is competing and giving a very good experience against your savings bank account. And we have highest number of portfolios in the schemes and the category which are very, very high. So that's one of the reasons in terms of when we're looking at why the penetration is so good, because the entire investor experience is, we are giving the first, I think he talked about the entry level products and everything. So we are somewhere not following it and we are just chasing the return. Now coming back to your question, I think you asked a question of 100 lakh. I think it's given because we are already at 80 lakh. So by, I think it's just about 2 years in my view that I think we have crossed 100 lakh. So it's just a number, but I think the big picture when you look at in terms of the opportunity before all of us is, and if you go to the 2047 document which mutual fund industry has, MFI has released along with PwC. So we are actually in one of the best timings where all the cylinders are firing as far as India is concerned. And when you look at the journey, so we are at about 20% of in terms of AUM to GDP ratios, which definitely we are expecting them to be more than 100% by 2047. Now, what does that mean? That means that our industry, which is less than $1 trillion today, is going to be $33 to $35 billion in the next 25 years. So that's the journey which we are going to travel as an industry. So growth is given. The only question is, okay, are we all prepared for that massive growth? Are we all in terms of prepared to handle all those investors and that kind of massive growth which is going to happen?
So growth is inevitable and the time is just a factor. That's what.
Can I add?
Please. But I think Rohit was also trying to add something there when okay.
Well, we can be cynical about low penetration. I have one theory again. It's my personal theory on why penetration levels are when it comes to capital market product. It's like this. If you have a sibling, as a pure person, I have a sibling, my brother and my sisters, and I have friends who I met them in first and the college, and I know them for the last 20-25 years. And I have a colleague who I have been working for in a year. Who would I trust the most? Instinctively as a human being. If I have to trust, it is my siblings because the familiarity that I know them for 45 years. I know how they react, my actions, my non-actions, etc. And then comes my friend, college, and then the bill. It's not that anything wrong with the bill.
Right, Mahmood, I have heard a lot of people say, sir.
Yeah, so here, if you look at the human history, agrarian societies have started 10,000 years back. The first ounce of gold was mined about 3,500 years back. First joint stock company came into existence 300 years back. So, as an asset class for humans, real estate is known for 10,000 years. It's like a sibling. Gold is like my college friend who I know for about 2.5 decades. And equity is like my colleague who just got getting familiar with. And given that it's hardwired in our, as humans, it's hardwired. So it would take some time for to build that familiarity, and with familiarity comes trust. And with trust comes that confidence to invest.
Absolutely.
So that's, I think it will take time. So we have a lot to celebrate while we can
अब तो I was Ritesh sir यहाँ पे बैठा हुआ है. I was talking to Ritesh sir that as a veteran from the community, a lot of times it needs also to give back, because that's a part of a social giving. So, what practice does it differentiate between the first and second? What is the difference between a good fastest growing? Because there are a lot of distributors sitting here who have just got into a mutual fund business, and how do you see? Because you are one of those AMC who are very active, and every time we speak, one of the point is, Rohit bhai, कैसे कुछ नया कुछ चीज कर सकते?
So I tell you, in August this year, about the data, एक साल के returns zero in August 2020, वो returns नहीं था, और एक average growth जो MFDs का था वो 12%. So there are MFDs who has grown more than that, उसके पीछे भी बहुत से लोग थे. तो फिर मैंने कुछ analyze किया क्या reasons हैं. I tell you some stories of my difference. एक MFD को मैं 2 साल पहले ट्विटर के थ्रू उनके रेफरेंस के थ्रू मेरे पास आए, और उनका कहना ये था कि मैं 2 साल से बिजनेस कर रहा हूँ, ऑलमोस्ट 4 years का, और 2 साल में उनके पास कुछ 40 करोड़ का था, और मुझसे पूछना चाह रहे थे कि तुम्हें 15 years से ज्यादा एक्सपीरियंस है, कुछ ऐसा बताओ जो मैं अपने बिजनेस में अप्लाई करूँ और मेरा बिजनेस काफी तेजी से ग्रो. तो ये क्या हम लोग लंच बैठे ऑफिस में काफी कुछ डिस्कशंस हुए. अभी 1 महीना पहले मैं वापस गया, ऑफिस गुड़गांव में है, और फिर डिस्कशन हुआ तो पता चला कि उनका 200 करोड़ है, 200 करोड़ है, 1-1.5 साल में. और फिर मुझे तो अच्छा लगा कि मैंने तो इतना सब बताया. तो बात में ये पता चला कि उन्होंने कोई भी चीज अप्लाई नहीं की जो मैंने, और उन्होंने वही कंटिन्यू किया तो वो ट्विटर पे कर रहे थे. अपना ट्विटर पे उनका जो भी कंटेंट डालते थे, सिंपल, थोड़ा इन्वेस्टमेंट बिहेवियर से रिलेटेड, थोड़ा कैटेगरीज के बारे में बात करता, वो कंटिन्यू किया. एक यूट्यूब चैनल पे अच्छा सा स्टार्ट किया, और उसके थ्रू सारे मुझे कॉल्स आ रहे थे, क्लाइंट्स मुझे उनका सिंपल कहना था कि हर साल के साल 50 से 60 लाख केवाईसी नहीं बनते अभी पिछले 3-4 साल के, है ना, और इसमें से आधे से ज्यादा प्लेटफॉर्म के थ्रू आ रहे, और वो लोग मैं ऑफर इन्वेस्टर्स को, ये लोग को एडवाइस चाहिए ही चाहिए, और आई हैव टू शो माय अवेलेबिलिटी ऑन सोशल मीडिया, क्योंकि वो सोशल मीडिया पे ही ज्ञान लेके मुझे इन्वेस्टमेंट करनी है, और मुझे इसीलिए वहां पे अपनी अवेलेबिलिटी दिखानी है, मुझे अपना ट्रस्ट बिल्ड करना है, अच्छा कंटेंट देना है, और लोग मुझे अप्रोच करेंगे. 200 क्लाइंट, 200 करोड़ का एरियम, 250 करोड़ का, तो इसको 2.5 करोड़ के आसपास का SIP. One of the very impressive practices that I have seen. But दूसरी चीज और मैंने देखी डेटा में कि there are more than 6,000 MFDs who have more than 50 crores of AUM, right? उनका भी एवरेज ग्रोथ ऐसे ही है 12 to 13% के आसपास है, लेकिन उन 6,000 लोगों में से सिर्फ 360 लोग ऐसे हैं जिनका SIP बुक more than 1% है. ओके, मोर देन 1% एसआईपी ग्रोथ है, और वो जो 1% 360 लोग हैं उनका ग्रोथ 30% से, जबकि एवरेज ग्रोथ 12% से। बहुत बेसिक चीज है, यहाँ पे जितने भी लोग बैठे हुए हैं, जब उन्होंने 15-20 इयर्स पहले बिजनेस स्टार्ट किया होगा तो उन्होंने बिल्कुल तोते की तरह रखा होगा कि 1% करना है, लेकिन आज मेरे ख्याल से शायद ही कितने लोग ऐसे हैं जिनका 1% से ऊपर का
Very few of you would have 1% of your AUM as an SIP book. Sanket has.
ये प्रैक्टिस अगर चला के रखेंगे तो आप डेफिनेटली फिर मार्केट से ज्यादा ग्रो होंगे। Somebody I met in Kochi, 2 साल पहले he was sitting at 200 crores a year. उन्होंने YouTube चैनल चलाया, जैसी मेरी इंग्लिश है वैसी उनकी भी थी, वो मलयालम में ही बात किया करते थे, यानी सिंप्लीफाई किया कम्युनिकेशन, है ना, लोगों तक ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों तक पहुंचने की कोशिश की अपने YouTube चैनल के थ्रू, अच्छे खासे फॉलोअर्स आई कैन।
So you are saying adoption of technology, social media, and knowledge.
Yes, knowledge. उनका AUM from 200 crores is 500 crores as of now. उनका SIP book is 7.5 crores.
So every time I speak to Madhu now, all of you, he comes with very hit points data. I was impressed by one of his data when we met sometime 1 year back in an ISM campus. That's a very new one.
Yes,
So we will be short.
Yes, I'll give you 4 examples. तो एक एग्जांपल है, उन्होंने क्या किया है कि एक अच्छा ऑफिस सेटअप किया, अच्छी टीम बनाई, और डेटा क्रिएशन कहाँ से हो रहा है, सोशल मीडिया के थ्रू हो रहा है, वो टीम उस डेटा को कैटर करती है, और 27,000 रुपीस का एवरेज SIP है। बिग अमाउंट। वो सब एरिया जो एनालाइज का है, कोची का एनालाइज का एरिया है, पहले वो रियल एस्टेट में थे, छोटे छोटे बिजनेस उन्होंने स्टार्ट किए 9,000 तक, तो म्यूचुअल फंड्स, करेक्ट। उसके बाद एक प्रैक्टिस ये थी जो गौरव ने भी बोला कि वो डेट की तरफ फोकस नहीं करना। अगर आप टॉप 500 जिन लोगों का मोर देन 500 कोर्स है, ऐसे कुछ 400 लोग हैं जिनका इक्विटी और हाइब्रिड का एवरेज 78% और उनका डेट का एवरेज 22%, और जो लोग नीचे हैं यानी 500 करोड़ से नीचे है वो इक्विटी और हाइब्रिड में 90%, राइट, उनका डेट पे फोकस कम है, राइट। लास्ट चीज जो है वो एडवाइजर, वो कैसे आ रहा है कि मैंने अगर किसी एडवाइजर से 2010 में उसके क्लाइंट के पास जाके 1 करोड़ का चेक इमर्जिंग प्रोजेक्ट में दिया था, वो आज भी इन्वेस्टेड है, वो 15 करोड़ हो गया। लेकिन मुझे जब लास्ट ईयर जो एडवाइजर का फोन आया, बोलते हैं कि रसायन को क्लाइंट तो अभी भी बनाओ, लेकिन प्रॉब्लम ये है कि उन्हें डायरेक्ट कभी नहीं दिखा, और वो ये बोल रहे हैं कि यार तेरी मेरी दोस्ती अच्छी है, मैं कंटिन्यू करूंगा, है ना, लेकिन मैं नया पैसा कुछ भी ये डायरेक्ट भी मेरे लिए अवेलेबल है, तो क्या करूं। तो उन्होंने मुझसे लगातार फीडबैक करना शुरू किया, हर महीने के महीने कॉल करना शुरू किया, और थीमेटिक्स में टैक्टिकल कॉल उन्होंने फैन यूज किया, हमारा हैंडसेट यूज किया उस टाइम पे।
Exactly. In fact, Madhu, we can continue this, but idea is to give you real-time data point, because there are a lot of distributors here who have started new things. So Rajesh, coming just to you, since people have just heard you, so I want you to be, because I have received 3 WhatsApp saying that सही लग रहा है. So while mutual funds continues to be सही है, so what would be the role of alternates, do you think, in the journey, in the total, because today what I hear from the distributors that only mutual fund does not actually differentiate when I go to a bank. So what would be the role of alternates? Just give a small.
Correct. So how we see it is as a mutual fund is going, so mutual fund is for broader markets, whereas in alternates is going to be used by sophisticated investors, जिसमें आपके HNIs, ultra HNIs, accredited investors will come on board and they will want an additional alpha. So those sophisticated investors will explore alternates. The idea would be so how we see it is as a mutual fund to be a part of their portfolio. Alternates is going to complete that portfolio further for those sophisticated investors. So, it is not that alternate is going to replace, but it is going to replenish. It is going to replenish, whether it is going to complete the bucket of the portfolio.
So you're saying mutual fund continues to be the core, alternates is going to be the top up. Okay, super. So now question for all four. If each of your independent ideas, one idea, it cannot be repeated, Rohita. So, nobody can overlap each other. One business activity that a mutual fund distributor should adopt to increase his business, and he is ready to incur cost, to spend a cost. One such an MFD should do from a house of access. Yeah.
So I think one very important thing is you want to grow, you need to leverage. And how do you leverage? There can be many ways. Since I have to stick to one, you have to leverage people. You have to get your teams inside, because as an individual, you can manage 100 clients, judiciously. You can't manage more than good, meaningful 100, 120, 150 at the max. The next growth has to come. If you don't want to go ultra retail, obviously for ultra retail, I'm sure they'll tell you all the ideas. But if you are managing MNI, HNIs, you need to have teams in place, and there are enough. Many of us, when I meet the partners, they say, "Where do I get talent?" Believe me, we have to put little effort. As AMC, we also put effort, then only we get talent. Similarly, we all also will have to put lots of effort in getting talent. Talent is available. So I think it is very important that we create that leveraging effect, because if we create clones of us, that's how you will have multiple, in multiples of growth. It will not be 10, 15, 20%, it will be 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, because that's, as Gaurav also said, that report, I'll also refer to that same report. As per that report, this 5.5 crore of investors will become 25 crores investors. And $33 trillion, please understand this opportunity. Many times it doesn't register. 33 trillion, is what is the opportunity available for next 22 years. So it is 33 times of what, maybe 35 times of what we have today. So all of us have that opportunity, and many of the guys who are average will grow at maybe 25, 30 times by virtue of being there if they play it well. But I can tell you, many of you can grow 100, 200, 500 times, because that's what the better guys will do. So I think people, investing in people, creating a team, creating clones of yourself will play a very, very important role as well.
Brilliant. So, Gaurav, team is on the table now. No team. What next?
So, you have asked me one. I take a hand and shade two. Okay. So, one is, I think, in one practice, I have been at with a large company which has been doing very successful practice in the client audit business. When I'm saying client audit, it's basically they say to the client that they talk to the client and they say, okay, you have given us some money, okay, but why don't we do an audit for you and then give you a complete picture of what better we can do or how you should be, kind of give you a certification. And why? I'll explain you why I'm talking. Now, this practice itself, it actually has a potential to grow your AUM by at least 10x. The reason is, when you look at it in terms of the challenge which we have in the industry, private with the clients. So when you look at it from a household savings perspective, again it is only about 10% which are invested in. Okay, so you have a 10x opportunity in terms of go deep into existing clients. And through this audit method with the clients, you can actually get a sight of where they have invested, which bank FDs they have invested, which are the other financial assets which they have. And therefore, I think then if you have that visibility, you'll be able to pitch them. Banks, if you look at it, where is the bank? How do they have it in terms of the value propositions? Because they have a complete visibility on the account of the investor. Current account में कितना है, savings account में कितना है, FD में कितना है. So they have that visibility. And therefore, they are able to go and pitch to the client and say, okay, why don't you move that money into mutual fund, insurance, or XYZ? So I think you have to think in a way that if you can get a hold or view on the entire client assets through a client audit method where you are helping him to give a report card in terms of the overall assets, you will get a view, and therefore then you will be able to pitch and complete, take that journey forward from 9-10% of the household, which is penetration which we have right now, to further 20%. So, by the way, when you look at it in terms of the way the reports are, it is predicted that this household penetration in mutual funds will move from 10% to 35% in the next 20 years. Correct? So, anyway, there is a trend which is happening, but through this practice, you can multiply your AUM. The second thing which I just wanted to leave you with, and I think we are too much obsessed about this conversation on AUM. And I think everybody, whether in terms of AMC, whether it is in terms of distributor, we always talk about in terms of how much AUM is going. And I think Madhu talked about that in terms of market growth, and then there is how much you are getting it. I think a lot of us, whether it is 500 crore AUM, 100 crore AUM, 1000 crore AUM, a lot of growth is coming because of market, and that is making us lazy. So I think we have to change that conversation, and the conversation has to change from AUM to GUM. When I'm saying GUM, is basically goal under management. I think as an industry, as a distributor, if you start tracking what is the goal under management which you have, because all your investors, they are investing for their goals. And if you start capturing, maybe he has done a 10,000 rupees SIP, but his goal is 1 crore. So if you start tracking about the goal under management and start working on in terms of, instead of the AUM growth, the unit capital growth, what is the number of units which you are acquiring every month for your investors? I think this change in the perspective, the change in terms of the metrics of how do you review your business can actually multiply your growth and will give you very, very fresh perspective. So change from AUM to goals under management, and change from AUM growth to unit capital.
So team, client audit, and also AUM to GUM. Okay. Once we have very few. I'm sorry, but we have a very small time left.
There are two interesting tools that are available in the industry. One, the features of new products and products themselves. I think if you use this, you can scale up the business without incremental addition to manpower. Take an example, SWP as a concept. If you start selling cash flows to a client, those who buys this and invest in SWP, it gets you two things as a advisor. One, lump sum money, and the money that stays for long term. Because whoever is coming into SWP or any capital will stay long term. Second is a goal-oriented fund. So if you start promoting goal-oriented funds, you are taking care of two things. One, the investor's behavior, because once an investment is attached to a goal, an investor tend to stay longer and won't call you every now and then when markets are correcting 1% or 5%. I think these two, if they can use effectively, features and products.
Client audit, AUM to GUM, and focus on product. Selling the right product is also important. Abdul. No, only one, and that also not repetitive because we are running short of time. And also I have a problem today. I've got too many bosses chasing me. Gaurav is a boss, Raghav is also, he is at time, so he was my first boss. So I cannot do it.
People are using technology, social media. I think most of the practices are being used. But one thing, I think very few people are doing it, and
Abdul, we have to tell you.
dig deeper into clients' portfolios. People are setting good offices. बड़े ऑफिसेस लोगों ने बना के रखे हुए हैं। घाटकोपर में दिखता हूँ और पूरे बॉम्बे में बाकी जगहों पे भी। एक चीज आप कर सकते हो कि एक फैमिली को एक बार अपने ऑफिस में एक बार बुला के आप पूरा डिस्कशन करो पूरी फैमिली के साथ में, उनके बच्चे भी साथ में है, हस्बैंड वाइफ भी है। एक तो क्या है ना कि जेंजी भी आप जो सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है जेंजी नहीं आ रहा। जब आप स्टार्ट करोगे 15-20 इयर्स में जब उसे समझ में आने लगता है इन्वेस्टमेंट, तो डेफिनेटली तो वो अर्निंग से स्टार्ट करेगा तो भी आपके साथ में आएगा। आई थिंक वेरी फ्यू पीपल आर यूजिंग दिस टेक्निक। अगर आप दो लोगों के साथ भी एक हफ्ते में काम करते हो, you will cover 100 families.
Very true. In fact, I resonate this. I have a distributor and he never speaks to my wife. My wife has a different distributor, I have a different distributor. And it is I'm telling you, because I don't work for an MC now, I have my own firm because I am with AFM and we are a learning company. Abdul, what you are saying is correct. Sir, मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ. My wife, she is an equally earning my distributor never, he just only say hi, hello ma'am, that's it. And my wife, she's talking to another distributor. So that's a big opportunity. So I think this is one of the best, advice to you. Rajesh, I think you are getting excited to add something to it.
Yeah, just wanted to add addition of the right products. So even non-mutual fund, there is a word. So alternates provide the opportunity to the distributors to get, let's say, pre-IPO, opportunity of let's say pre-IPO, private credit, SMEs, to the right investors. So that should also be considered by the advisors if they want to go further.
Brilliant. In fact, my last question, I could have continued. All five of you, I will give you the option. You tell me which is your priority. Knowledge, technology, relationship, diversification, and corporatization. Out of this, which is your top priority? Knowledge, technology, relationships. Because he talked about relationships, he talked about it.
So I believe
One, no answer, subjective. One, knowledge.
see, corporatization itself means you are actually incorporating.
So for you, corporatization is the
reason being like you are going to define your processes, you are going to go deep, you are going to have systems where you are trying to get.
So for out of this, corporate institutionalization is your priority, right?
Actually, it's a very tricky question because all of them are very, very important for every business. So I think, but if I have to stick to one or two, for example, for HNI, it is relationship and knowledge that will take a precedence. For retail, obviously digitalization and how do you ensure that you get scale through digitalization.
Brilliant.
I'll go outside the box. So I'd say asset allocation. Asset allocation, I think, is the biggest factor. And if you look at it in terms of the wealth creation, it's not the fund managers, it's not about anybody else. I think we have given too much importance in terms of performance. It is the asset allocation which contributes maximum to the wealth creation. And there are enough studies which have been done. So if you focus the dharma of a distributor, you are an asset allocator. And if you focus on asset allocation, I think you are done. You will create wealth for your investor and you will create advisor wealth.
Would say that institutionalization of a business with the mind as a focal point.
Abdul.
बहुत सारी चीजें जो है वो एआई टेक ओवर कर लेगा, लेकिन रिलेशनशिप जो है वो जहाँ पे एज एमएफडी को मिलेगा, एम्पैथी, हैंड होल्डिंग, उसका एक अलग इम्पैक्ट है. मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ कि देयर इज अ वोलेटिलिटी इन द मार्केट इन शॉर्ट टर्म. लॉन्ग टर्म में म्यूचुअल फंड का पैसा काफी बनता है, लेकिन एक जो एमएफडी है वो आपके लिए क्या है कि कोच का रोल प्ले करता है. जब मार्केट नीचे गिरता है तो आपको पुश करता है, एडिशनल परचेसेस के लिए पुश करता है. एक वेंडर है एसेट लोकेशन के लिए, आपका इमोशंस को मैनेज करता है वोलेटिलिटी के फेज में. और सबसे बड़ी बात ये है कि ही इज योर फ्रेंड हु फाइंड्स जॉय इन योर फाइनेंशियल वेल-बीइंग. इसलिए मुझे लगता है कि रिलेशनशिप
So we have so surprisingly, for knowledge we have there, and FM India we always make sure that you are always updated to the knowledge. So thank you very much. We could have continued this discussion endless, but I could see boss is prepared to take the charge of the thing. You don't have a time slot. Thank you very much all. So it was a lovely discussion, sir.